Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Good morning, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome to another episode of my podcast where I connect with spiritual leaders, starseeds, and lightworkers to help you to connect with your higher self and source to discover your truth and embrace the divine being you were designed to be. This podcast is aimed at helping you to discover the light, both inside and outside, and eliminate the fear that our 3D reality and our ego insists on pushing onto us. Once we discover who we truly are and we live from a place of love rather than fear, then we can ascend into the higher dimensions. So I have been so excited about having our guest on today, and we have been missing each other, but thankfully she's on. And today I'm going to be chatting to Nicole Alesios. She's a money mindset coach from Melbourne, Australia. Now, her focus is to support women to have easier money conversations with both themselves and their clients. Now, I'm excited to be talking to her about money personalities and how these personalities allow them to build successful businesses. This is a really important topic because, as we know, money can be a block that many of us are kind of pushed up against. But I am excited to have her here. How are you doing today, Nicole?
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing really well. It's nice to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. And you come from Melbourne, and I lived in Melbourne for 4 years. So I know exactly what you're talking about. We're talking about the weather before, and I kind of like to say that it's like 4 seasons in one day. Because even if the sun was out, you still had to take an umbrella because you never knew what was going to happen. So so I loved my time over in Melbourne, but now I'm in Perth. I'm on the other side of the country
where the sun shines.
Yeah, most of the time. Although I have to say, we've had a lot of rain this winter, more than what I think we've ever had. Our gardens are loving it, but it's getting a little bit starting to clear up now for spring. So absolutely loving it. So before we get stuck into things, how about you tell people how you came to be where you are today?
Wow. Now, how long do we? So thanks for that intro. Well, I worked in corporate. So I worked as a corporate advisor, and I was in corporate for up until I was about 26. And then I just felt really overwhelmed. And although I had a great job and at a great company, I felt really overwhelmed by just the workload, the environment, and the energy, which obviously at the time I didn't identify was the cause of a lot of my overwhelm. Was definitely living out of alignment. Not that my 26-year-old self was able to identify that. So I left corporate with the intention of going on a career break because, you're 26, you've studied, I studied economics, I did the business degree. Of course, I was going back there. I wasn't going to go be a gardener. I just didn't feel like that was an option for me. So I went and worked in my brother's cafe for a little bit, for a bit of a break. And then I stumbled across a short course about the money personalities. And I just remember it was a 6-week course that I did. And I just remember thinking, this is really interesting. And when I realized what my dominant money personality was, it made so much sense as to why that corporate environment just didn't feel like a fit for me, and why I was resisting processes and systems, and why I liked to lead. And even though, I was junior, in my 20s, in that corporate landscape, why when I had the opportunity to lead, I did a great job, but I didn't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. So at that point, I'd been asked to do a little bit of consulting work. And, like anyone who might be listening, who is starting a small business or is thinking about starting a small business, there was no grand business plan. It was someone asking me to do a little bit of work. And I thought, you're asking me to consult? Like, I'm only 26. I don't know enough,
Yeah.
And
imposter syndrome, huh?
Yeah, full imposter syndrome. Absolutely. And then basically I just started playing, and I started when I say playing, I started doing work that was tailored to my money personality.
Yeah.
So I started to learn. I should go back and say, after I did that 6-week course, I was so taken aback. I then went and studied the program myself. So it had as to how to teach the money personalities. And then I started doing consulting work. I say that in inverted commas, but choosing what I wanted to do and doing work that felt really aligned. And then I was seeing my clients were loving it. I was loving it. And then I had clients who were open to me experimenting because, right, I had no runs on the board per se outside of my corporate environment, no small business runs or limited small business runs. So I started playing and I just loved the freedom that it brought me. And when you understand your money personality, you can leverage your strengths really easily, but you can also foresee your any self-sabotaging behavior or any limiting money stories that come up. And it's easy to, when you know them, start looking at them like an observer versus embody them and make them who you are. So I really liked what it did for me. And I thought, oh, that's why I don't fit in corporate. That's why this feels so good. And then my clients started asking me about, I remember sort of just drip feeding it a little bit to my private clients. And they were intrigued. So I was like, do you want me to teach it to you? So then I started teaching it privately and they loved it. You know, it was really helpful in a team environment, understanding, you know, what motivates people to make money, i.e. what motivates business owners to make money and how to leverage their strengths, but also in a team environment, you know, we can interchange that language with what motivates people to come to work. And what are their strengths. So that's how that came about.
And so how long after you did this did you leave the corporate?
I'd left the corporate before, so I did what every business course tells you not to do. I was just
You'd had enough.
I'd had enough. I was, you know, I just thought I was taking sort of 6 months off. I remember leaving sort of June 30th at the end of a financial year period. My last contract had ended and I was asked if I wanted to, you know, do another contract at the company. And I was like, oh, no, I don't think I do.
Time to move on.
And I just thought I just needed a break. So I sort of played for, you know, my brother's cafe for a few months.
And did you have you always kind of had that understanding about alignment and about the universe and all of that? Have you always kind of been like that?
Not really. I definitely wouldn't say I was. I've always been probably unknowingly or unintentionally a very abundant thinker and an expansive thinker. And obviously, you know, my middle class white privilege allowed for that, you know, the way I was raised. So I think that's definitely helpful, but I wasn't conscious. And I would certainly not have known that I was in an environment that was misaligned. I was kind of like, come on, Nicole, you just got to get over it. You're in this environment, you've got a great job, you know, there's amazing career progression, just get on with it.
Suck it up and just do what you have to do. I know this is something that we often get ourselves wrapped up in. And I know myself, I actually, you said you came from like a privileged background. Well, I came from a household that, you know, we struggled financially. And, you know, my dad got hepatitis and he was in hospital for 6 months, which meant we didn't have any income. So it kind of, my parents did the best that they could and we never went without anything. But I remember the power being turned off and I remember, you know, playing board games by candlelight, which was great as a kid. But when you come from different backgrounds, and I realized years later that it was causing some real money blocks for me. That was, I started thinking, oh, you've got to work hard to be able to earn the money. You know, work a 9-to-5 job. You've got to live paycheck to paycheck. Now, so many people are stuck in that mindset. What do you think the number one block is that is causing this sort of mindset?
You know, there's probably more than one answer to this, but what comes to mind right now is, you know, I look at like 2 zones. Like we have a zone like safety, survival, our basic needs being met. So that's one zone. And then above that zone, we have desire and play. And in that space is luxury and abundance and more than what you need. So we've got the wants up there and we've got the needs down the bottom. So if you think of a rectangle cut in half, one side is, your basic safety needs, and the top half is wants and desire and luxury. I think there's a few things. So obviously there's your conditioning, your family of origin conditioning. And we all have a story, and we all bring on stories or take on stories from our family of origin conditioning.
Yep.
I'm the daughter of a migrant. So although, I went to private schooling eventually, we always had to turn the lights off. There was it wasn't privileged to the point where everything was open slather, I'm youngest of 4 kids. So that impacts you as well, because they've come from nothing.
Yes.
And they carry that mindset.
So their belief systems are already stuck in that particular mindset.
Safety. So they're in that safety zone, making sure basic needs are being met, and any threat to that safety zone, you have to have protection for. So there are buffers and financial buffers and all of those things. So there wasn't a great deal of encouragement to play in desire, in my childhood.
Yeah.
Now, someone else's experience might be very different. They might have been encouraged to play in desire. So we've got family of origin conditioning. Then we also have societal conditioning. And there's so many women, a lot of our value has been derived from what we can serve, what we can give, in the past, in old paradigms, a woman's value was placed on, providing a home, providing a sanctuary, providing, children, giving, that was her value. Yeah. So then we take those characteristics or those mindsets that infiltrate down to generations, and we come to this current paradigm, which we're on the precipice of a lot of change right now, where there's something of this opportunity for women, and we're going, come on, you're at the buffet, eat, and you're like, I'm not, I don't know if I'm hungry. Is everybody else eating? I'll get my plate last. Yeah. Think of if there's any mums listening, I don't have children of my own just yet, but well, you serve yourself last and you're serving everybody else first. If I go, no. Now it's like, no, go eat. You can do whatever. It's all there. It's abundant. It's going to be overflowing. It's going to replenish. And you're like, really? I don't know. It can be hard to make that switch. So that worry of, we've got a few things going on there. So there's definitely a family of origin conditioning, and also other stories like, your first boss, your first job, you learn a lot from your first employer.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's what defines a woman's worth in the old paradigm. And, if you're in the old paradigm, a lot of what defines a woman's worth is, like we said, giving. So then she starts working and she's over giving. Yeah. So she's like, okay, well, that's how it's done. Give. There's value on exhaustion. There's glorification in exhaustion, glorification in stress, glorification in busy.
The busier I am, then the more I'm doing and the more value I'm giving.
Or the more important I am.
Yeah.
The perception.
Exactly. And I mean, I know that, you just mentioned that the woman's self-worth can often be built upon by their first employer. And or any employer. I mean, I remember I was in one job and I just moved down to Perth because I'm a country girl. So I just moved down to Perth to be near my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. And I had never driven in Perth before. I'd driven kind of through it, but so I got a job at this place and I was a courier. Well, I wasn't a courier, I was pretty much everything. So I was a receptionist, an accountant, courier, everything. So I had to learn to drive all over Perth. Anyway, so I worked really hard. And like you said, I put everything into it. And then I was on 15,000 Australian dollars a year. And I was paying for my own place. I was paying for my own car, my own food, everything. And I was struggling. It was time in my life that I was really having a hard time. And I remember going to my boss and I said to him, do you think we'd be able to get a pay rise? Because I worked really hard. And he turned around to me and he says, no, because you're not worth it. Ooh. That was his whole message to me. And at that point, I don't think I thought too much of it. I ended up leaving like pretty quickly after because I was like, no, I'm not putting up with this. But then years later, I started to realize that had actually impacted me to the
Absolutely.
point that my self-worth had kind of gone down. And
Mm.
I think we don't recognize this until we're in that situation, that how our employers see us when we actually are putting so much time and effort into it can impact our whole relationship with money, our whole relationship with our own self-worth. So I thought that was really important that you brought that up.
Absolutely. It's so, yeah, so important because there's such formative years too, and you're still forming your money mindset. In fact, this stuff isn't taught in schools, is it?
No,
We're
it should
not
be.
taught. It should be.
Yeah.
We're not taught, be mindful, because if you have if your first boss is a workaholic and he works 15-hour days, his money personality might be a ruler, and they're perfectionistic, they're workhorses. A lot of their status is derived from their work and career. However, they don't have much balance in their life, or they can often not have much balance in their life, and they can be very stressed from an adrenals perspective.
Yes.
And, you might come in with a completely different money personality that's all about ease.
Yeah.
And, making processes shorter than what they need to be, because you found a quicker way of doing things. And your ruler boss might not like that. He might see that as lazy. He might be like, that's lazy. We do it like that for a reason.
Yeah.
And you might be like, oh, wow, okay, I better not try and make any shortcuts again because I was told I'm lazy.
Yeah.
But we don't know that someone is projecting their money mindset onto yours.
So how do we kind of step back and become that observer rather than like you said, becoming enmeshed in it and starting to believe that that's the way that your life has got to be? You've got to live paycheck to paycheck, because I mean, let's face it, the majority of our country is in that way right now. They live paycheck to paycheck. How can we become more abundant and move through that?
I think the first step is definitely awareness and knowing yourself. That's the first step in having a really powerful money mindset, is really knowing who you are. Because when you don't know who you are and you're trying to get your power from outside of you, it's easy to look and go, well, look how she's doing money. Look how he's doing that. Why can't I save like that? Why can't I work like that? I'm just not cut out for this. And then other stories start to cascade from there. And they're often not positive, right? Because our human brain, who likes to lead with fear, because that paradigm that we're in right now lends itself to us leading with fear and not enoughness and scarcity and inadequacy, that human brain likes evidence to grab onto. So when we get evidence that, yes, we aren't good enough and we're not doing, we're not working hard enough, it's like, okay, there's a fact.
Yeah.
So we have that, we have a psychological thought, and then we create a fact, but we're actually searching for the evidence. So it's about firstly knowing yourself and really going inwards. And, anyone who's done, personal development work, your power's inside of you. There's no secret. Any personal development work that you do, whoever you're working with should be guiding you back to you.
Yes.
And it's just the you that was born, not the you that then went to be in a family that had money stories and a boss. It was the you that was born. Like, you were born abundant, you were born in alignment.
Yes.
So it's really getting to know who you are underneath those layers and, really making peace with it. Like, I remember when I looked at my money personality as a maverick, mavericks are very entrepreneurial. They don't like rules and processes and systems. I felt a little bit, out of sync with like my family.
Yeah.
As in my family are business owners, in my parents, aunties and uncles. So that was fine. But I didn't feel like I wanted to follow that neat path of getting a 9-to-5, buying house number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and staying in that system. Because yes, I'd love the house, but I didn't seem to find myself fitting in that corporate system, and other family members were fine with it. So I was like, well, what's wrong with me? And when you don't know yourself, you can actually think something is wrong with you. But when you then go, oh, this is me.
Yep.
Oh, and they're my strengths. Oh, and they're not my strengths. And that's okay, because I found what my strengths are. And hang on a minute, there are 8 money personalities. Holy guacamole. Okay. Let's see what's what's this money personality? Oh, that's really interesting too. Yeah, I know someone who does that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I know someone who does that. Oh my God, holy pickles. Like, we've got something new here. There's
Yeah.
something to grab onto, right?
Yeah.
So our human brain, when we're taking on this journey, can often need something to grab onto initially.
So something to grow from. And I mean, I know with myself, my husband and I, we are very different in that way. We're very similar in many, but he's grown up, he's a scientist. So he's done his PhD, he's worked as a scientist for many, many years. And so to him, it's all about the 9 to 5. It's all about, that professional type of career. I work with him 2 days a week as well in the labs, just as something a bit different just to kind of work the other side of my brain. But I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I come from a family of people who have run their life building businesses, and then they turned into work from home entrepreneurs. And so I've been brought up in a very different environment. And so my money story would be very different to what his would be. And so, so I know that entrepreneurs, that there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs out there. And so my money story is very different. So it's interesting, even within couples, how different it can be. So how do you, if you've got one person that's kind of an entrepreneurial mindset, and then the other person that's like, oh no, you have to work 9 to 5, which he's not, he's pretty flexible like that, but you have to work 9 to 5 to be able to earn money and rah, rah, rah. How do you start to align that with each other so that it doesn't kind of affect that mindset?
Totally. I think firstly, when you know yourself and you're grounded deeply into who you are, what other people and what's going on around you doesn't impact and influence you.
Yeah.
So the question would be, if that bothers you, that someone's saying to you, you need to be working 9 to 5, I would, look at that as an invitation to ground deeper into your money identity and your money personality, because there's something there that you're perhaps, not owning or not believing, or there's some resistance about who you are, that someone else saying something to you, is sort of, creating a reaction, because
that it bothers you. Yeah.
When we're grounded, there's almost like this sacred peacefulness.
It is. It's amazing.
You're not moved by the views and opinions of others. And when you find yourself being moved, it's a great practice to go, okay, use it as an opportunity
why?
for self-inquiry.
What happened? Yeah,
an opportunity for self-inquiry. Or then go, okay, if I know that, when I'm law of attraction, when I'm manifesting, that a restful state brings me closer to that quantum field, how can I diffuse this? What feels good for me? How can I diffuse this? Because ultimately, you are the flame keeper to your vision, not your husband, not your children, not your wife, not anyone else around you. You are the flame keeper to your own vision. So why does it matter what they think?
Yeah, I know. And the saying that I love all the time is to say, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Exactly.
Because and I've told my kids this, when they've come home and they've been like, oh, such and such says this. And I said, sweetheart, I know that it's, it probably doesn't feel good, but we can't create our identity based on what other people think of us, or whether somebody else is upset with us, or, obviously as the kids, you don't understand that, but we've got to start to become so grounded and so in alignment that we have that level of self-worth, that we believe in ourselves, we know what our vision is. Because I think so many people, when they do worry about what other people think of them, then they lose sight of that vision. And they go, oh, well, maybe I am being crazy. Maybe I'm just, how many people have told you, get your head out of the clouds and, come back down to earth. I've heard that before, and I'm sure many of us have, So it's about saying, when somebody says that to you, it's about just saying, like, I like to say, no, I'm quite happy where I am, thank you. Because you keep your vision, and And I like to dream big, and I like to set big
Yeah.
goals, and I like to believe that
Yeah.
anything is possible.
Absolutely.
And I think that sometimes we can go for really small goals because it's safe.
Yes, we're not playing in the desire space because we're
Mhm.
not taught.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't been taught. Another thing as to why I think those blocks are there is because women aren't encouraged to express desire.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, that's enough for me. I'm fine. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to need something? Oh, you know, I'm not like those people. I don't want for much. It's almost
Yeah.
like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
So
It's like, oh, I've got to be satisfied with what I've got right now, because it's greedy if I'm not. It's
yes,
greedy. And
it's
because
guilt.
it's the guilt. And because when you think about it, we come from like generations back, the woman had no voice.
Yes.
And so it was like you were here to please your man, and you were here to do what he wanted you to do. And the thing is, it's funny, I laugh about this still, because when my husband and I first got together, my nan, I mean, she's 96, bless her. She's in hospital and stuff, but she's 96 years old. She's been brought up with that whole, she had 6 kids. She's been brought up on a farm, so everything was about her husband and about serving her husband and waiting on her husband. Anyway, when my husband and I first got together, we used to go up there and we used to have lunch. And so we'd go for lunch, and then she'd dish up and everything. And then she would say to me, she'd go, "Oh, aren't you getting him a knife and fork? Come on, get your partner." And I'll turn to her and I'd say, "Nan," I said, "with all due respect, he's got 2 legs and a heartbeat. He can get it himself."
Good on you.
And the look on her face, she was like, and then after a while, she just started to recognize. And Bruce, my husband, he would say, "No, I'm going to get it myself." Like he'd say, "She
Yes.
doesn't have to get this for me."
Yes.
But we're programmed because that's what we've seen, and that's what we've been accustomed to. You have kids, and then it's all about the kids. It's all about, running the kids around. It's all about being the best parent that you can be to those kids, and you lose sight of yourself. And so this is the thing, and this is what's kind of been programmed into us from early on as women. And so we're in the greatest society, like the greatest time now.
Aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So exciting.
Because I don't know how I'd survive if I was back in those days.
I know, right?
Because I think I'd probably be single my entire life because I would stand up for myself. That's just the way that I'm programmed. Although back then you probably wouldn't know any different, would you?
No,
Yeah,
that's right. You just really wouldn't know any different.
Yeah.
And, that old paradigm that we're transitioning from now. And why I say transitioning is because it's been indoctrinated in so many of us, these habits and money stories and self-worth stories and, where we get our value from. Because ultimately peeling back the layers is realizing that you're worthy, right? And that you are enough exactly as you are right now. But that old paradigm that we're transitioning from, it serves them when women are tired.
Yeah. Oh,
and they don't feel like they're good enough, right? It serves them because when a woman's exhausted from trying to be the best wife, trying to be an amazing wife, an amazing lover, an amazing mother, look young, hot, skinny, sexy, gorgeous. Well, she can be exhausted and she doesn't feel strong within herself because she's led to believe that all of her power is outside of her. So she's feeling powerless. And when a woman's feeling powerless, she's exhausted. And an exhausted woman is easy to control.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when the narcissists come in because they understand that they've got complete control over you. And so I think the fact that women now are able to power up and they're able to look within themselves and to build that power within themselves. And like you said, when we were born whole and complete. And we were perfect just the way we were until we started getting reprogrammed to believe that we had to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And go.
Sorry. No. I really believe that a well-rested, well-resourced and, I don't want to use a swear word on your podcast, but a sexually satisfied woman is unstoppable.
Yeah.
You know, a well-resourced, well-rested and
satisfied
woman is really unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree.
And stories around rest are huge for women.
Oh, yeah. And I think that we don't take that time to put ourselves first. And my husband's always saying to me, like, I've spent 20 years raising my kids and I love them to bits. They're absolutely, they're amazing. My daughter, she's got her own lash business from home. Wow. She's 18. My son, he's at uni. They're doing well for themselves. But he's always saying, you've got to put yourself first, because you've got to start looking after yourself, and you've got to, he's very supportive of my business and my vision and all of that. So I'm lucky, because there's many out there that aren't supported. But, it's kind of like you've got to constantly be reprogramming your mind, because and start to realize that your thoughts that are coming in, your beliefs that are coming in, aren't actually your own.
Yes.
And so if someone's watching and they're going, well, how do I get through the next fortnight with, living on such and such, because their mindset is programmed around that whole belief system. How do they change that? How do they start to alter that? Because we put so much emphasis on money, right? Everything's about money. Like, how much money do we have in the bank? And how much money do we have to pay for this and this? And we put so much emphasis on bills. How can we start to create that abundant mindset and realize that money is just another form of energy?
Absolutely. You're asking what's the first step, and I'm like, oh, which one?
Where do we go?
Firstly, I would say try my money quiz, because you'll get an email and a video telling you how amazing you are with money, because each money personality has a light and a shadow side. So I think that's a nice something grounding. Secondly, I think it's, gratitude. And when I say gratitude, like, start noticing the abundance around you, and give yourself permission to play in what I call the pleasure portal, that area of desire. And the pleasure portal doesn't have to cost you a lot of money.
No.
There's this myth that the pleasure portal, I don't have money for restaurants and designer bags and whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It can simply be saying yes to more things. Someone says, do you want to go for a coffee? You say yes. Someone says, I'll get it. You say yes. No, I'll get it. I'll get the next one.
Yeah.
Like that you're
It's that scarcity. It's that scarcity, isn't it? It's that constant worry that you're never going to have enough. And so I love that it doesn't have to be anything big. It's about, because we are so conditioned to say no all the time. Yes. Everything's about no.
Start receiving. Start practicing. Start what I call opening your receiving valve. And to open your receiving valve, you have to start looking for abundance around you. So you might wake up and go, I'm so grateful for my health. I'm grateful that I've got a jumper on. How amazing is this privilege? I went for a walk today and I was with my cousin and we saw a massive camellia bush and it was just like exploding. Yeah. And I said to him, look how abundant that camellia bush is. You know, like, it's exploding. You can see like lemon and citrus trees exploding with fruit. Like, start noticing abundance around you, because what you start noticing, you'll start to see more of.
Absolutely.
And it's those really conscious choices, and they're not easy. It's like saying, I want to go to the gym today. To make that instant switch, it requires some form of effort. So you do have to show up for yourself. You do have to take inspired action. But you're the flame keeper to your vision. So if your vision is a more abundant life, this is a great place to start. You might be filling up your water bottle and going, I'm drinking abundance.
Yes.
It's just a mindset thing. I am drinking abundance.
It's funny because like, as people go, oh, well, gratitude, we know how powerful gratitude is. But often we go, oh, it's a bit silly to be grateful for that. I mean, to be grateful for the sun shining. I mean, I go outside and the sun's beaming down and I go, oh, I'm so grateful for this right now. Because, or the, like you said, the abundance of the trees and nature. Like, we go walking, my husband and I go walking in the bush, and you look around and you see all the flowers that are blooming and you see all the birds in the trees.
Yeah.
And it's a great time to really become engrossed in nature and to really start to feel grateful. But even just something as simple as, I know the other day I stood under the shower and I just looked up and I just said, I'm so grateful to have this water, because, you know, if you've got a really cold day and all you want is a nice warm shower, you're going to be super grateful when you get under that shower.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter what you're grateful for. Just find something, because everybody's got something to be grateful for. And it doesn't have to cost a lot.
No, and the universe will start giving you more things to be grateful for.
Yeah, whereas if we
like,
start
she likes this,
Mm.
well, you find what you look for. So
Yeah.
if you are looking for scarcity, oh, there's not enough money, oh, there's not enough this, oh, there's not enough food. Well, you're in a state of lack, of not enough.
Super Conscious Success fam, thanks so much for joining me in this interview. And I'm just taking a short break in the interview just to let you know about an exciting offer that I have for you. I'm just in the process of building the Super Conscious Success Inner Circle, which is going to be a free membership that you're going to be able to get access to, which is going to eventually, once I've got it all built up, include courses and exclusive content and a whole heap of other stuff that's going to be available for you to help you to expand that consciousness and to come into your power. And it'll include content from all of my different segments, from Super Conscious Success, Your Spiritual Shift, Raising a Conscious Human, and also Peace and Prosperity. And you'll include content from all of that, as well as the Self-Empowered Empath, Higher Self-Mastery, and a whole heap of other different collaborations and projects I have on the go. However, to get this free membership, you do need to go and sign up. So if you go to superconscioussuccess.com/inner circle, you can sign up absolutely free for it. As the content builds and I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will then be making it a premium product, which means that you will no longer get it for free. It will be a monthly charge. But if you get in now and you get into the free membership, then you will have that free for life. So head across now as we're in the building phase, and you'll start to get more and more awesome content flowing in. And yeah, so head on over there now, superconscioussuccess.com/inner circle. Now let's head on back to
what you're focusing on grows. So if you are focusing on that state of lack and that state of not enoughness, unfortunately it grows. And like I said, it's really easy to find a lot of evidence to support that fear-based mindset right now in our society, because we are in a fear-based society.
We are.
So you really have to make a conscious shift and observe the way you talk about yourself.
Yes.
Observe the way you talk about your mindset, because here's the thing, the subconscious mind, you know, we know this, it believes what you tell it.
Yes.
Tell it something over and over and over and over and over. It says, okay, this psychological state will produce a fact.
Yep.
So just like we know science is, we're told a fact, you know, that water, your body's 80% water. That's a, you know, I don't know that exact amount.
Yeah.
Your husband probably knows. Your body's 80% water. We have factual evidence. So we believe that then hydration is really good for us, right? It creates a psychological fact. When we drink water, it's good. Now, if you're drinking Pepsi, you're like, oh, you know, my body's not 80% Pepsi. So there's evidence around why that's not good. So again, there's facts around why that's not good. Those facts produce a psychological state. We now know the same can be said in reverse. So what does that mean? That a psychological state can produce a fact.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? That a psychological state can produce a fact. So your role is to create abundant psychological states. And I'm not saying grab something and say, I'm a millionaire, because if your body's not on board, it's not going to produce a psychological state.
Yeah.
It's something that stretch your reality and your potentiality as far as you can.
Yeah. That's still within kind of like a believable
that feels
state.
Safe for
Yeah.
your subconscious to grab onto. So I'm saying start with water, start with this, start with that. You know, you might start saying, I'm a money magnet. I am, you know, I'm attracting wealth. I create wealth. I invest in rest. I manifest at rest.
Yeah.
You know, there might be things that you start saying and you're like, yeah, actually I do.
Yeah.
You know, so it just depends on where you're at. You know, I'm a, you might say, I'm a multi-seven-figure CEO.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a, how does she show up? How does she act? Like, start embodying the state, but pick at the level that feels stretchy but safe.
Yeah.
Plain potentiality.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And acting as
Mm.
if you're already there. And this can often be the difficult part, because they go, but if, how can I pretend like I've got lots of money if I look in my bank account and then the money's not there? Because we live in such a 3D society, we don't realize that what is there right now is a result of our previous belief system.
Absolutely.
So if you want to see a change, you need to change how you're thinking. You need to change what your subconscious is manifesting for you. And so, it's all an illusion. And so we need to change those belief systems. And you can do that through many ways, through your affirmations. You can do it through hypnosis. You can do it through just what you tell yourself every day. If you're constantly going out and you're going, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I can't afford that. Well, then that's what you're going to keep bringing into your life, not being able to afford something.
Absolutely.
And whereas if you go out and you say, oh, yeah, that's not a priority right now, but I'm going to get that one day, or, oh, I can afford that, but, it's not really my priority.
Not today.
Not today. Then you've got a different mindset.
Absolutely. I often say, not today. And the reason I say not today is because, a lot can change in 24 hours.
Exactly.
Maybe
tomorrow I can.
Nicole? Yeah. Are you going to Europe, Nicole? Not today. Not today. I'm not booking tickets to go to Greece.
Yeah.
Not today, as far as I know. I'm not like, no, I'm not going. It's not this year. Not, like that language that extends it beyond, like, just not
today. I love that. I think that's great, because because we know time's an illusion too. So it's just like all we have is the present. So right now, no, I'm not. I mean, that's all good. I can't tell you what's going to happen 24 hours from now. No. I can only tell you what's happening right now. So so I love that. Now, there's been so much juicy stuff here. But can we go into, I wish I had done the money personality quiz, but I am going to do it when I get off the line. Can we go into some of the money personalities, so that when people do your quiz, because they're going to go after this and go and do your quiz and figure out what money personality they are, I am sure, they'll know a little bit about them. Just a brief rundown on them.
Sure. I'll give you a little rundown on each of them. So accumulator is, I'll do it in alphabetical order. So there are 8 money personalities, just for context, and we all have a dominant one. And the idea is that we build our life, our business, our career around our top 3, with our number 1 being our defaults, and our 2 and 3 being like, the alternative options that feel good for us. Sometimes you're sitting down to make a decision and you're like, I like this, but I could also do it this way. They're typically your 2 and 3. They feel the most easeful.
Well, after you've done this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and figure out if I can pick which ones I am, and then when I do the quiz, I'll let you know if I was right.
Yeah, this is interesting, because there's a little bit of all. We have all 8 in all of us. So no doubt everything they say, you'll be like, oh yeah, that feels really resonant. So I'll start off with the accumulator. The accumulator is the inner banker. They're great with money, very detail orientated, exceptional savers. They love to accumulate money, very integrous, not sold to easily. Very fact-based people. Number 2 is alchemist. Alchemist see the magic everywhere they go. They flame potentiality a lot. So, an example I like to use is you might go to a barn shed and with an alchemist, and they see potential. They see, you could host retreats here. We could do women's circles. We could do, oh my God, there's so much potential here. It's beautiful. People could have, weekends out of the city here. Oh my God, such a great business idea. Whereas an accumulator might go, do you see the roof's leaking? We're going to need to rewire it.
That's interesting, because when we got our house, and there was stuff that wasn't 100%, but I've always been the sort of person that has seen potential in everything. Like, it's like, even if something's wrong, I'll go, oh yeah, but but that's easy to fix. But think of what we could actually do with this.
Yes.
So yeah, it's go on.
Yes.
I'm loving this.
Alchemists are very socially minded too. They're very powerful manifestors. So they
Mhm.
manifest money very quickly. In their shadow, they can also repel money very quickly as well, because they can see money as, a bit of that root of evil that they don't want to be a part of. So although they're powerful manifestors, they can also repel it. Remembering each money personality has a light
As a
and a
shadow.
shadow,
Yep.
and a shadow side. The next one is, I think we've got celebrity. Celebrity is how the name lends itself. They're very powerful leaders. They're magnetic, and they love recognition, right? So they love to be recognized for their efforts, and they like to be recognized for their wealth as well. So you'll see them wearing noticeably expensive things, or associating noticeably expensive circles. They've got a very high benchmark for quality, because they know the value of money. So where they can buy something that's the top notch, the top of the town, they will. So because they play in that desire and that luxury space a lot, they've got a great benchmark for quality. They've got a very abundant money mindset. So they like to spend because they believe it's always going to get replenished. They're like, why not? Just go the VIP version. Go the
Isn't that where we would all love to be? Just in that place that it's just like, who cares? I'm going to go out and buy this because it's going to be in my bank account again. It's going to come back to me.
And you know what? I'm going to buy this, bag. It's $5,000. I'm going to feel good about it. And I'm going to use it in my photo shoots for my business. And I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to more work meetings and show it off. And you're like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're not.
But most of us would go, oh, $5,000. What could I do with that?
Yeah. What else could I do? I could buy 500 bags,
or pay the bills.
Or put some money on my mortgage or something. Yeah. Next is connector. Connectors are deep relationship builders. So they don't necessarily love money, but they're very good at connecting people and forging deep relationships. And by deep relationships, they're not judgmental. So someone in the presence of a connector, someone can feel truly seen for who they are. So although connectors don't necessarily love handling money, as we know, business is all about relationship building, right? And leveraging relationships. So they're actually very powerful at making money when they allow themselves to lean in to this gift. I'm trying to think what's next. I've got a little booklet here, luckily. So I've got next is Maverick.
Yours.
So that's mine. Yes. Did I tell you that?
You did.
I said it before, did I? Mavericks are rebellious, very entrepreneurial, edgy, like to do things different. They can be attracted to get rich quick. They can go from, really big highs to really big lows because they can be, chasing innovation constantly. They are great with complex financial complexity. Like they love financial complexity and they love numbers. They love observing numbers, and they also like to be a hero for the underdog and helping other people. So
nice.
Yeah.
Love the Maverick.
Yes, that's Maverick. Next we have Nurturer. So Nurturer is like that really maternal, warm energy. And I want you to think of the Nurturer like that mother energy. And if you think of the inner child in every adult, every inner child is looking for that mothering, that nurturing energy. So for the nurturer, they're naturally very generous. They want to protect and shelter. They actually like money and they make money really easily. They can gift it to other people. So they can give to others very generously and, put themselves last. And that's reflective. All of these things are reflective financially, but also in life as well. So, if someone else needs money that they believe they need it more than them, they're more than happy to help out. They can find it challenging asking for their worth. They find it a lot easier to give. But when they harness the strength and the power of what they give, and they work through that limiting belief around charging for it, they're very powerful.
Yep.
Next is romantic. Romantic are a little bit like the celebrity. They love to play in that pleasure portal. They love ease and luxury. So they like to find shortcuts to things. They don't think things need to be hard. They don't like to overcomplicate.
Yeah.
If they can do it quickly, they will. They can often spend money on themselves because they feel like they deserve it. In inverted commas. They love to spoil people with gifts and experiences. So the romantics are a really interesting sign. So they love to feel wrapped in luxury. So unlike the celebrity who needs everybody to know that they're bathed in luxury, the romantic likes to feel luxuriant at all times. So their nervous system is in quite a restful state. And they can have this mindset of there's plenty more money where that came from.
Yeah.
And because they're in such a restful state, because they're not in scarcity and they don't treat themselves scarcely, money does find them and abundant opportunities do find them. They're real hedonists, you know, when it comes to making money. But again, on the shadow side, they just want to be mindful of spending to feel good.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with spending. It's just about knowing the intention behind the spending, right? Everything's about the intention. Lastly, we have the ruler, the empire builder, the workaholic. I touched on the ruler before. The ruler, she loves to associate her status or her career and her work life and her money habits with success. And she can be running like a mouse on a cheese wheel. At her worst, she can be running like a mouse on a cheese wheel and have no balance. Yeah. Be very perfectionistic and, really that person who glorifies being busy. She definitely is she's very ambitious, an empire builder, and she loves innovation. And she also likes to accumulate financial resources because it feels safe for her to do so.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I've, as you were going through those, I was able to pick them out instantly. I know what my top three are. My top one, I'm kind of floating between two because I'm 100%, and I know this, I've gone into my Akashics, I've done a lot of work that I'm the nurturer. That's my being a mum, being an empath. That's been my first and foremost thing. But in saying that, I've always believed that my purpose on this earth is connection. So my value is on connecting with other people and connecting other people to one another and connecting and building those relationships. That's very important to me. So I kind of float between those two as my top money personalities. But in saying that, I can also be leaning more towards, I wouldn't say I can't say I'm a maverick because I'm not very rebellious. So, but I am an entrepreneur that I wouldn't even say I'm a ruler. So, but the third one, I'd probably be leaning more towards a ruler in the fact that I can overwork myself, but mainly because I love what I'm doing. So I don't know whether it's, how that fits in. So I'm going to be really interested to take the quiz and see how close. And I'll let you know how it's.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for you to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it'll really open up some insight into how I definitely know nurture is going to come up. That's just going to be one of my.
Yes.
But I think that as the children are growing and stuff, I think because you can also, like with your money personalities, is it something that can kind of like shift, because we do have all of them within us to some degree?
Yeah, absolutely. There definitely can be a bit of a shuffle, but you won't. I've never ever found anyone having a completely different top three.
Yep.
So they're not going to fully change. We might go, oh, okay, someone else has popped up there now. Like we've got a different front runner this time. Yeah. But 2 and 3 might be the same. Or, So it's usually that like number 4 or 5 will come up.
Yeah.
And like I've had someone who went from having accumulator number 1, which is that, quite
the strict banker type.
A strict
type
banker
personality.
type, and then had romantic come up.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're completely different.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. It was ruler and then romantic came up the front. So the workaholic.
Yeah.
And then but they've been doing work on themselves and been really making a conscious choice about, whether or not they wanted to buy into that busy paradigm. So it's interesting.
And once you know what your personality is, I guess it allows you to then kind of understand yourself a lot better. Why do I feel like this? Why do I, how do I attract money? What is the shadow side that is maybe blocking me from being able to bring that abundance into my life? So I'm excited because I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely let you know how it all goes. But wow, that's a lot of information. But before we do go,
yes,
can you explain a bit about your Money Mindset Mastery? Because that's a program that you've got to help women entrepreneurs to be able to, become the best version of themselves and attract money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Money Mindset Mastery is essentially a deep dive of your money personality.
Nice.
And it's really about learning how to leverage your gifts, but also obviously how to release those limiting money stories and rewrite them. And also embody new stories that feel really powerful and aligned. Money Mindset Mastery is a 4-month mastermind container.
Wow.
Where you basically go in and out. So the idea is you're learning it and then you're going out and applying it to the world and you're having conversations.
Yeah.
And you're changing your paradigm in that container. So that's Money Mindset Mastery.
That sounds cool. That sounds so much fun. But the thing is, what we need to understand is that our stories, which has been created from childhood through to now, they can be changed.
Absolutely.
We can keep telling ourselves the same story over and over and over again, which is often what we do because it's what we've known, but we can change it. We can script, we can visualize, we can figure out what that big vision of ours is and imagine ourselves there. Create that new story. And then it starts to manifest, right?
Absolutely. You are co-creating every day, every thought, every moment. You are co-creating with the universe, with God, whoever you believe is a higher power.
Yep.
You are co-creating at every moment in time. So when you start co-creating in alignment, and your mind, your human brain has some physical form to grab onto, navigating those fear pits that often pull us out of our manifestation, right?
Yep.
Once we start to navigate them, we work through them really quickly and with agility.
Yeah.
Right. And we learn emotional agility. It becomes really powerful. Like you meet your manifestation at a different rate.
Yeah. Absolutely. And once you're in that alignment, once you're in that flow, once you're in that ease, and things just feel natural. Yes. And there's no push and pull. It's just, the universe just flows with you. And it's possible for absolutely everybody to get into this space. And I think that knowing your money personality is, especially if you've struggled, especially if you're wondering why you're putting all this work in and yet nothing's coming to you. Yes. Well, start to understand the personality and start to work on your shadow side, because I've always said that the shadow's there for a purpose.
Absolutely.
And it's there to help us to grow. And so I like to say to love your shadow and to move through it, because when you resist something, you attract it.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. So, oh, wow, this has been so much fun, Nicole. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's brought so much content to my listeners, and I just want everybody to feel abundant and to feel like they can do anything. So this conversation is really going to help them with that. Can you let our listeners know, how can they get a hold of you? What's your website? Where can they take the quiz?
Thank you so much. It's been so nice chatting. I'm on Instagram, so Nicole Alesios, and the quiz is in my link in bio, Money Personality Quiz. I can give you a link, Jen. I'm not sure if you want to pop it in the show notes.
I will, absolutely.
I'd love, take the quiz, let me know what your result is. People DM me still. I've been doing this for years. People DM me and they tell me, oh, I've got accumulator. It sounds like me. I still get excited when I hear when I hear people telling me their result. So I love a good DM chat. So yeah, over on Instagram, definitely.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Nicole. It's been an absolute blast, and I know the listeners are going to get a lot from it. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day over in sunny Melbourne.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It was a really nice chat. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.